Albert, a widowed elderly gentleman, lived a quiet and simple life in a small house in the suburbs. His days were spent tending his garden, reading books, and reminiscing about the past. Albert's wife, Margaret, had passed away a few years ago, and ever since then, he had found solace in the company of his next-door neighbour, a single mother named Jennifer. Jennifer was a young woman in her early 30s, struggling to balance her job as a nurse and her responsibilities as a parent to her two young children, Lucy and Tommy. Having lost her own parents at a young age, Jennifer found comfort in Albert's presence, who had become a grandfather figure to her children. Albert was a man of many stories, having lived through wars and societal changes. He was a retired teacher and had spent his life educating and inspiring young minds. Despite his humble lifestyle, there was something intriguing about him that Jennifer couldn't quite put her finger on. He had a calm demeanor, and his eyes twinkled with the wisdom of a life well lived. Over time, Jennifer and Albert grew closer, sharing stories and life experiences. Albert would often help Jennifer with her children, playing games with them and teaching them about history and science. In turn, Jennifer would assist Albert with his grocery shopping and take care of him whenever he wasn't feeling well. One day, while the two were having their usual afternoon chat over tea, Albert decided to confide in Jennifer about a secret he had been keeping for years. As they sat in the cozy living room, Jennifer noticed that Albert seemed more pensive than usual. Sensing that he needed to share something important, she encouraged him to open up. Albert hesitated, glancing around the room as if to make sure they were alone. Finally, he leaned in and whispered to Jennifer about a hidden safe buried in the corner of his basement. He explained that he had intended to leave the contents of the safe to his only son, but tragedy struck when his son died in a car accident, much like Jennifer's husband. Just as Albert was about to reveal more about the safe's contents, the front door slammed open and a tall, imposing man stormed into the house. Jennifer recognized him as Albert's estranged brother Martin, whom she had heard about in passing but had never met. Martin's expression was cold and calculating, and it was clear that he was not there for a friendly visit. "What are you two whispering about?" Martin demanded, glaring at Jennifer and Albert. Albert, clearly agitated by his brother's sudden intrusion, struggled to regain his composure. He attempted to dismiss the situation, stating that they were merely reminiscing about old times. Martin, however, was not easily fooled. He had long suspected that Albert had been keeping something from him and was determined to find out what it was. As he glared at Jennifer, he accused her of trying to manipulate Albert for her own gain, causing her to bristle at the unfair accusation. Albert stood up to defend Jennifer, telling Martin that she had been a true friend and support during his illness. "Jennifer has been there for me when you couldn't even bother to visit," Albert snapped, his voice shaking. Martin, taken aback by his brother's outburst, sneered and left the house, vowing to learn the secret they were keeping. After Martin's departure, Albert apologized to Jennifer for the uncomfortable encounter. He knew that his brother's greed would only bring trouble, and he worried about the potential impact on Jennifer and her children. As Albert and Jennifer resumed their conversation, they were both keenly aware that the peaceful days of their friendship were now overshadowed by the looming threat of Martin's intentions. As the days went by, Jennifer's curiosity grew, and she couldn't help but wonder about the mysterious contents of the safe. Albert's health began to decline, and Jennifer knew that she would soon need to face the reality of his passing. She found herself spending more time at his house, making sure he was comfortable and ensuring he took his medications on time. Jennifer took it upon herself to learn more about Albert's medical conditions and consulted with his doctors to provide the best possible care for her dear friend. During one of their quiet afternoons together, as Jennifer was preparing a warm cup of tea for Albert, he looked out the window with a distant gaze. It was clear that he had something on his mind, and Jennifer gently encouraged him to share his thoughts. Albert hesitated for a moment, then began to reminisce about his adventurous youth, traveling the world with his late wife Margaret. Albert's eyes sparkled as he recounted stories of visiting far-off lands, experiencing the beauty of different cultures, and exploring ancient ruins. He told Jennifer how he and Margaret had been inseparable, sharing a love for adventure and discovery that had brought them closer together. As Albert spoke about Margaret, Jennifer could sense the deep love and loss he still felt for his late wife. He mentioned that Margaret had been the driving force behind many of their adventures, her curiosity and spirit of exploration infectious. Albert's voice cracked with emotions as he shared how much he missed her laughter and companionship, especially in his twilight years. Jennifer listened intently, her heart aching for her friend's pain. She could relate to the void left by losing a loved one, as she still struggled with the loss of her husband. One evening, as Jennifer was preparing dinner for her children, she received a frantic call from the nursing home where Albert had recently been admitted. The nurse on the other end of the line sounded concerned, urging Jennifer to come to the nursing home as soon as possible. With her heart pounding in her chest, Jennifer quickly arranged for a neighbor to watch her children and rushed to Albert's side, fearing the worst. When she arrived, she found Albert lying in bed, looking weak and pale. But with a determined expression on his face, Jennifer could see that he was struggling to speak, and she gently took his hand in hers, hoping to offer some comfort. As she slowly caressed his head, Albert weakly tried to tell her something, his voice barely audible. Just as Albert was about to reveal his message, the door to the room swung open, and Martin stormed in, his face twisted with anger. He began to berate Albert, accusing him of trying to manipulate Jennifer and steal what he believed was rightfully his. Jennifer was shocked by Martin's sudden intrusion and his callous treatment of his ailing brother. Albert, visibly distressed by Martin's outburst, mustered the strength to defend himself, but his weakened state made it difficult for him to speak clearly. Jennifer, realizing that Albert needed to conserve his energy, stepped in to shield him from Martin's tirade. As she faced Martin, Jennifer could feel a fire burning inside her, fueled by her determination to protect Albert and his legacy. She demanded that Martin leave the room, stating that his behavior was cruel and unwarranted. Martin, taken aback by Jennifer's fierce defense of her friend, hesitated for a moment before reluctantly retreating. Once Martin had left, Jennifer returned her attention to Albert, reassuring him that she would stand by his side no matter what challenges they faced. Albert, visibly comforted by Jennifer's words, found the strength to whisper his final instructions regarding the safe, knowing that he could trust her with his most treasured secret. With Albert's house now empty, Jennifer found an opportunity to explore the basement. After searching through dusty shelves and old furniture, she discovered the hidden safe in the corner, just as Albert had described. Her heart raced as she entered the combination he had given her, and the heavy door creaked open. Inside, she found a collection of rare and valuable artifacts from around the world, including ancient coins, ornate jewelry, and priceless works of art. As Jennifer carefully examined each piece, she realized that they were more than just valuable items. They were a testament to Albert's love for his late wife, Margaret. Each artifact held a special significance, representing a cherished memory from their travels together. The thought of selling these precious mementos weighed heavily on her heart, and she couldn't help but feel that doing so would betray Albert's memory. As she stood in the dimly lit basement, cradling an intricately carved wooden box that Albert had acquired during his travels, Jennifer made a decision. She couldn't bring herself to sell these priceless works of art. Instead, she would preserve them, honoring the love story that Albert and Margaret had shared throughout their lives. Just as Jennifer was lost in thought, she heard a creak from the top of the basement steps. She looked up to see Martin, looming at the top of the stairs. His eyes were fixed on the open safe, and the fury in his expression was unmistakable. Jennifer's heart raced as Martin slowly descended the stairs, his eyes never leaving the treasure trove that lay before them. "Albert had no right to keep these from me," Martin seethed, his voice laced with venom. "These belong to our family, not some neighbor who knows nothing about our history." Jennifer clenched her fists, ready to defend Albert's wishes and the artifacts that symbolized his life with Margaret. She knew that Martin was only interested in their monetary value, but to her, they represented something far more profound: the love and memories that had defined Albert's life. Martin was a cunning and ruthless businessman, willing to go to great lengths to secure his claim. Determined to honor Albert's wishes, Jennifer sought the help of a lawyer, Amelia, who specialized in these kinds of disputes. Amelia, a tenacious and intelligent woman, took on Jennifer's case, impressed by her client's determination and courage. Together, Jennifer and Amelia navigated a complex legal battle, uncovering the truth about Albert's life and his intentions for the precious artifacts. They discovered that Albert had explicitly written a letter before his death, entrusting the collection to Jennifer and her family, in recognition of their deep bond and her unwavering support during those final days. Jennifer and Amelia faced numerous challenges in court as Martin sought to discredit Jennifer and cast doubt on Albert's intentions. However, their tireless efforts eventually paid off when they found a crucial piece of evidence, a recording of a conversation between Albert and a close friend, in which he expressed his wish to leave the collection to Jennifer. Armed with this compelling evidence, Jennifer and Amelia presented their case in court. The judge, moved by Jennifer's devotion and Albert's clear intent to support her and her children, ruled in her favor. The artifacts were declared legally hers, ensuring a more secure future for her family. However, the victory was bittersweet. While Jennifer was grateful for the financial security the artifacts provided, she deeply missed the friendship and companionship that she and Albert had shared. As she looked around her newly furnished home, filled with the beautiful objects that Albert had collected during his travels, she couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for the loss of her dear friend. To keep Albert's memory alive, Jennifer dedicated a room in her home as a small museum, displaying some of the most exquisite pieces from the collection. This space became a place where she and her children could remember the kind, generous man who had touched their lives so profoundly. As the years passed, Jennifer continued to cherish the memories of her friendship with Albert. She often shared stories of their time together with her children, ensuring that his legacy lived on through them. And while the artifacts brought financial stability, it was the lessons of kindness, compassion, and the power of friendship that Jennifer valued most, gifts that she would carry with her for the rest of her life.